Please welcome Steve Merritt. And this is it, X39 Doctors Panel. Dr. Tony Smith, Dr. Jake Davidson, Dr. Leland Stillman, Dr. Brian Sorrell, Dr. Larry Peasant, Dr. Pam Grover, and Dr. Joseph Peck.
Guys, give these doctors a round of applause like you mean it. Okay, can you welcome all these doctors from the doctors panel? All right, we got one more. Come on up here. Okay, now a lot of this, we're building this so fast that some of us, we just meeting for the first time up here on the stage. So it's gonna be exciting to hear, and this is gonna be incredible. Doctors, I really appreciate you sharing with us, and this is gonna help put everyone's business to a whole new level. Even some of us would like to have some of our colleagues hear somebody from a different doctor talk to them about how incredible this technology is. So this is gonna help everyone, so that's why we put it together. So thank you for sharing with us this afternoon, and we're gonna get right to it. So why don't we start, everybody introduce themselves real quick and tell us what kind of doctor. We can maybe pass the mic all the way down from the end and tell us what kind of doctor you are and maybe what attracted you to the X39 right off the bat.
My name is Leland Stillman. I am a local general internist who specializes in integrative and natural medicine. For those of you from Tampa area, hello. I'm new to the area. We're taking new patients, for the record. So my friend Renita Brannon, I met through some really wonderful like-minded people, and she kept bugging me about this. And in the integrative wellness space, I'm sure you know there's a lot of products, there's a lot of network marketing products, and there's not necessarily a lot of good network marketing products. And she kept telling me that I had to check this out, and so I did, and I started recommending it to my email list and my patients, and then the reviews started rolling in. And people were happy. People were getting results that I couldn't get with supplements and diet and lifestyle changes in a lot of cases. And people kept signing up and kept renewing. So that's how I got here.
All right.
I'm Dr. Joseph Peck. I'm from Culpeper, Virginia, which is the cradle of religious freedom for the world, where the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was birthed to protect our freedoms. And I worked 20 years as an anesthesiologist. This is my 40th anniversary of being a physician. Still have an active license to practice medicine. Now I would consider myself a rest specialist. I'm actually branded by God as the time doctor, so I'm in the practice of time.
Hi, I'm Pam Grover. I'm a medical doctor that's been board certified in family medicine for 22 years. And about 10 years ago, I finished my fellowship in anti-aging medicine and have had a private practice in anti-aging in upstate New York since then. I heard about LifeWave patches about 3 months ago, and it was through a testimony from one of my patients' friend who had contractures of her hands. She could not open them up for about 10 years. And so when I heard that after wearing the IceWave patches for 8 months, she was able to open her hands, extend her arms, I wanted to know more about it. So I've had over 100 patients use patches since then, and I've seen amazing results.
Wow, thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Tony Smith. I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and thank you. Anyway, what attracted me to the X39 was it's just as a chiropractor, most of you guys don't know, we can't do injections, so I can't penetrate that industry unless I employ a physician or somebody else, which is a lot of overhead, a lot of liability, a lot of other things going on. So when I saw the potential of what X39 was, that's what got my attention. but also the business side of it, because I can't teach everybody how to be a chiropractor, but I can teach somebody how to build a business around innovative technology and help them in their own family, where I can't do that just being the chiropractor.
I am Dr. Larry Prezant, vascular surgery, Phoenix, Arizona. We've known Steve and Gina for a long time, and when they contacted us, I said, no, not that.
So you were skeptical.
Very, very skeptical.
Okay.
They contacted us again, and I finally reluctantly, and then I started doing some of my own research. And the more and more I delved into it, having had experience with photobiomodulation, I said, gee, maybe this thing will work.
Incredible, incredible. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Brian Sorrell, I'm from Kansas City.
Yeah.
And mine's a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
I ran chiropractic and medical offices, had a chain of those offices, and got injured in an accident, was paralyzed for 6 years. So I came to direct sales industry to have another income one time.
Okay.
So we stepped into this. This found me on an ER. I got that thing twice that was going around, and I was in an ER room with them putting nitroglycerin under my tongue because my blood pressure was 225 over 190, and they couldn't get my heart rate down. All I know is 2 months later, Renita and Scott were showing me a card that you could reset genes. All I know is I put the patch on. I got my energy back. I got my get up and gone, had gone up and went. It's back.
Yeah, I can tell.
And I'm telling you what, it isn't a... And so I'm just here to share and change people's lives, because I had to pay millions of dollars to do that in my clinics. You get the same thing for $1,700 bucks.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Incredible. Thank you, Dr. Sorrell. And Dr. Sorrell was the first one running up here for the panel. I met him up here, so you can see the energy is back with him. It's incredible. Thank you.
Jake Davidson, Kansas City, Kansas. I was introduced by Jody Hanna, sitting right here on the second row. She approached me for 10 weeks every single day. Finally, and then she got her husband to do it. Then I put it on. Less than 24 hours later, I got my dreams back for the first time in 15 years, and it was the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, and we were having Super Bowl parties all night long. I said, sign me up right now.
All right. Right. I mean, and you can see what I really love is once you get to build this business, you get to meet that, doctor friends are just like all of us. They want to have fun. They want more for, obviously they have their practice. They want to bless their people, but they're protected in their offices. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't get to them, but they really, once you get to know them, and it's fun. Where else can all of us be connected together in a cause to bless other people? And that's what their main focus is. So, Dr. Stillman, I've listened to some of your podcasts. So I'm pretty up on some of the stuff you got, and I'm really excited about the peptides. Now, we talk about the copper peptides. Can you kind of jump in and talk a little bit about peptides and explain so we can all understand the importance of peptides?
Yes, so for those of you who don't know, peptides are really how this whole product works. Now, peptides can be anything from a few amino acids long, amino acids are the building blocks of protein, up to hundreds or over 100 sequences or amino acids long. When you start changing what peptides are doing, the way I look at peptides and proteins and enzymes is they're basically like the tools the body uses to get things done. And what you're seeing when you're using these patches is the manifestation of these proteins doing the work inside the body. And part of what finally, because I have a similar story to him, I was very skeptical. Renita would not stop blowing my phone up, and I'm grateful that she did. Because, I get approached with tons of products. I'm probably only affiliated with a half a dozen brands at most because of the sheer number of products out there and the fact that I don't need a whole lot to get people better. So with peptides, the way that these peptides work, at least particularly the X39 and the X49, is they take free copper in your body and in your body's tissues and in your bloodstream, and they put it to work doing what it's supposed to be doing in the GHK and AHK peptides. That's what you get the wound healing from. That's what you get the regeneration from. That's where you're seeing people's neurological issues go away. That was the thing that won me over, was particularly seeing people with the neurological issues give me testimonials and say, this has been amazing for my MS flares, this has been amazing for my foot pain that nothing else has helped, et cetera, et cetera. The thing that I want you all to know about peptides is that peptides can also be injected. Now, why do they have to be injected? Because your stomach has got stomach acid and enzymes that break down proteins, amino acids, and peptides. That's why you can't eat GHK peptide or AHK peptide and get the therapeutic effects that you would get with the LifeWave patches, right? Otherwise, we'd put this in a pill, wouldn't we? Because people are ready to buy a pill. They're used to that. They're like a little bit more skeptical of patches. The thing is, if you're going to bypass the stomach, you have to put it through the skin. So what do? You draw it up with a needle. The most common peptide that all of you have heard of is actually called insulin. It was the first peptide used therapeutically in the world, and of course it's a life-saving medication. But now we're using more and more and more peptides. The world of anti-aging, regenerative medicine is just exploding with these peptides. Whole books are being written about them, more and more are being characterized, more and more are being synthesized. People are importing these from other countries. Compounding pharmacies are using them, and people are getting great results. But here's the thing. 80% of the public doesn't want to inject themselves or have their family inject them with anything. They just want to live their life and be left alone. The beauty of the LifeWave patches is that they provide the benefit of peptides without requiring the needles. You don't have to keep track of the needles. You don't have to worry about needle sticks or accidental needle sticks. You don't have to worry about contaminating yourself with somebody else with a needle. You don't have to worry about any of that. You don't have to go through the pain and discomfort. You don't have to get used to injecting yourself, which of course a lot of people have to because they may have diabetes or some other reason they've got to inject. And that was why I started to use them. The other reason why, and that's so important, is that I want you all to know that much of the disease that you're seeing today is related to minerals being dysregulated in the body. And I started to use minerals in my practice some years ago and was really shocked by the results. And that's why when I heard, oh, this is basically a platform that allows me to put minerals to work in the body, well, no wonder it's getting me great results. Copper in particular is really important because when copper gets free and is not bound to the proteins that it's supposed to be using or used by, it will create a lot of free radical damage and a lot of inflammation. And so the minute I saw, okay, people's symptoms are getting better or going away, and then they're actually regenerating, well, this makes sense. We're taking away the source of the damage, and we're actually putting it to good use. And there's a lot more to minerals and mineral balancing, which I do in my practice, which you can find at stillmanmd.com. That's Stillman, just like it sounds. MD is a medical doctor. Yeah, and that's peptides.
Now, I really have to believe that all the stuff that you've been doing, the different injections, the different therapies that you've had, you got to be like, it had to be tough for you to think a quarter-sized patch is going to do this kind of thing. I mean, it really intrigues me by all the stuff you're talking about, and here we got a quarter-size X39 patch that can do some things. Maybe not everything, but it can do, for all those people that don't want to be injected, it really can do some work and help them out.
It actually wasn't that much of a stretch, and I want to tell you why. So I fell down the rabbit hole of what you might call quantum medicine 4, 5, 6 years ago. And I was fascinated. I mean, I couldn't stop reading, just paper after paper and book after book, because this is stuff that got lost on the conventional medical community because of the push for pharmaceutical drugs and surgeries, because as you all realize, that's how the system makes its money, right? When the pills are not rolling off of the prescription delivery line, when the surgeons are not taking patients to the OR, no one is getting paid. There's nothing wrong with surgery. I refer to surgeons. I had a surgery on Thursday for aplastic nevus on my shoulder. But we need to be helping people to stay healthy, now more than ever. I mean, I can't stress that enough. This country's in so much trouble, this world's in so much trouble because people are not well. And you can unlock the healing potential in somebody's body by helping them or by getting different types of light into their life. And when I started to hear people in this world of LifeWave talk about guys like Robert O. Becker and his work on the body electric and electrical current and regeneration. I read Becker's work 4, 5, 6 years ago where he talks about how the body is this big electrical system. That's how acupuncture works. That's why the AccuLife patches make so much sense for me. And I've been using light since then. I mean, I'll have people buy these very expensive, very sophisticated light therapy products that have the same peaks at these patches. And this was another thing that got me off the fence is I had a number of patients say to me, Dr. Stillman, it's really great that you want us to all go out and get sunlight for vitamin D and infrared light, and you want us to buy saunas and sit in them for 20 minutes or 40 minutes, or you want us to get these fancy lights that are $250 to get started and $1,000 for the big nice ones. But A, we don't want to put that money down on that right now. And B, I don't have 20 minutes to like do more than brush my teeth and shower in the morning. I have kids, I have dependent parents, I have a job, I want to be able to go to the gym, I want to be able to have a life. So what can you give me that fits into my life? And that's what's great about these is that, you know, like they're on my desk. So the first thing I do in the morning, if you watch my lives on YouTube at 9 a.m. Eastern, you'll often see me actually put the patches on myself because they're on my desk, and that's how I remember.
That's amazing. See? And look at, now, Dr. Davidson, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you just tell me, after all the calls, what kind of got you going? What was something that was your aha, got you thinking about, and I want to call her back, I want to look into this, and then what did you find out after you dove in a little more?
I think one of my aha moments is I had a guy named Tom. He's 78 years old. He first came to me 5 years ago for chiropractic. He had been on a pacemaker for 25 years. And he was super skeptical. We got him into the office, and you know, his back pain cleaned up pretty quick. So this is way before the X39 got introduced. Through nutrition, through chiropractic, specifically the top nerve that tells the heart to kind of slow down and reprocess, nutrition, supplements, we actually got his blood pressure way down. And then at that point, we kind of kept him on more of a wellness kind of regimen type deal. And about 3 months ago, he comes back and he says, hey, I got to go back in. They want to do something to my pacemaker. My blood pressure has shot up again. It's in the 160s, 170s. What do I do? And I said, well, you know, because I already knew his diet. I knew his exercise. I knew what supplements he was on. He was doing all the right things. I said, you know what? This is going to sound crazy, but I have this little sticker. I'm going to put it on you. And the thing about Tom, he's 78, right? He's like, listen, you're not putting my name out there on the internet, and I'm sure not putting my credit card on there. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll buy the patches, I'll give them to you, you pay me cash. And that's how we do it every single month. Within 3 weeks, his systemic pressure, the top number, went from the 150s to 160s all the way down to the 120s, 130s. It was amazing. So that was
really
my,
got you.
at that moment I said, this
And
is
you
it.
started taking it serious.
When I started taking it serious.
Yeah. And you started working other patients, and
Oh yeah, if you're walking in my office now, you're going to hear about the patch somehow, some way.
yeah.
So,
So here's a gentleman that was skeptical, all right? A doctor that was skeptical, and through persistency, okay, he took and researched, looked into it, and had that kind of results. That's incredible.
It was amazing.
All right, we're excited to have you on board here. All right, so Dr. Tony, kind of tell what kind of the patients are seeing, why you're seeing it, and how do you believe it's working for them?
Like I said, I actually use that as another tool in my tool belt because I'm in the industry to help people. And so, you know, we're working on them, we're setting them up on a treatment plan. But a lot of the patients that I see are chronic pain patients. Again, a lot of inflammation, a lot of things going on in their body. So when we can kind of, you know, cut down that inflammation, they start to see better results. They start to adjust better. They have better mobility.
So you're saying the X39 is really a key
has been instrumental in helping people. And then, you know, a lot of doctors have a misperception that if you use the X39, you're going to lose patients. But the thing is, patients get more confidence in you, and they come back to you, and they start to refer other patients. So you actually build a practice because you're having more success with it, helping people, you know, get relief and feel better. And so that was one of the things I really like about it. And then I like getting down and function like this because I network with people, and then when you network with people, you build a business, right? You're up here telling your website, your thing, and so people start to get familiar with their faces. It helps build my clientele as well when I'm networking around my community, doing presentations, doing Zooms and different things. So they get familiar with my face, my name, and I start to build my practice with that. So it's multifaceted how I do that.
So Dr. Prison, now you're a vascular surgeon. You deal with, you know, veins. How about blood flow and for your heart? How do you feel the X39 does, or any other things that you've seen in your patients or your friends that have been applying the X39 since you started?
Well, the inside lining of all your blood vessels is called the endothelium. And when the endothelium gets inflamed, then you've got trouble. And this is where all sorts of things can start, like blockage of your carotid arteries, blockage in your heart vessels, blockage anywhere, even in the veins in your legs. And inflammation generally is the source of most disease. And I would just tell a kind of a personal testimonial story of my wife Leslie, who experienced a miracle on the X39 patch. And she had colonoscopies periodically. And one time the doctor called her and said, you got to come back from Colorado and have surgery in Phoenix. So she had the surgery, and luckily she dodged a bullet. It was very early. You know, she was cured from that. Every 6 months after that, she had to have another colonoscopy, and it came back the same way. Inflammation. About 6 months ago, or 8 months ago, she had a colonoscopy, and the doctor comes in recovery, and he says, what the heck are you doing? Your colon looks like you never had Crohn's. She says, all I've been doing is wearing this little patch for a couple months. He says, unbelievable. And the biopsies came back normal colon. So we consider that our miracle testimonial.
Incredible. Right there at your house, in your own home. And think about that. What if Gene and I wouldn't have called you guys? It's just a fine line, and sometimes you have that in your mind too. Should we call them? Shouldn't we call them? Call everybody. Because get through your phone. Don't prejudge anyone. Look at what these doctors are saying. Dr. Peck, can we get him the microphone? All right, can you tell us a little bit of, you're an executive director, right? So he's the third rank in the company. Tell everyone, they all want to sponsor their doctor. Can you tell them what they could be saying? Give them a couple zingers, a couple hot things that they could let their doctor sit to attention on why this product they need to take it serious, and then what a doctor might be thinking, that because we're not a doctor, so we're not thinking this. We want to know what you guys are thinking that we can talk to you about. Getting them excited about the X39, specifically the X39.
All righty. Well, first, as a physician who's had my license for 40 years, and had a very strong biochemistry background and worked as an anesthesiologist, taking care of people's bodies in a very special way, I can say, and seeing what's happening with the X39 and the other patches, I can say without a doubt that this is the most significant medical breakthrough in my lifetime. And do we have a big hand for that? This is,
wow. Hello.
To have something that connect, the X39 patch is one of the most amazing products in medicine, and stem cell activation, or more stem cells, is one of the hottest topics in medicine. So you have the best product in one of the hottest areas, and your health is your greatest wealth. For me, it's a no-brainer. And people say, well, will it work for this? Well, it will work for that. Well, we can't say that it necessarily will. There's tens of thousands of testimonies that are out there where people have experienced dramatic results with various problems and symptoms and diseases. But it's a no-brainer to try the X39 and just see if it works. And then when you recommend the X39, don't just have them do it for 3 days. What I'd say to people, if I had one thing that you can do, it would be listen with love. When you're talking to someone, don't just listen to what they're saying, what they mean to be saying, but what is God saying through that person to you? Listen and care and hear more than just at the superficial level. And when they know that you're listening to them, that you actually care about them, they're going to open up. And as they open up, they'll share problems that they have with their health or with their family or whatever. And then that's an opportunity to share about the patches. And from my perspective, as a physician, with what I've known and what I've seen, for me, it's actually criminal not to be sharing.
Wow.
Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring.
Thank you. Thank you. Great information. Dr. Sorrell, all right? If you were talking to a doctor, or a doctor is listening to this presentation, what would you tell them? Because, that's the key. It's hard to get through your offices sometimes, and also you got this you know, you got everybody coming to you with all different things. What is this? What makes this X39 so special that they gotta sit to attention and listen to what you're talking about today?
Well, believe it or not, I had an integrated practice. So the first time, being a chiropractor, first time I went to a neurosurgeon to do a thing, he looked at me like, well, you're a chiropractor. I said, but I'm going to bring you $500,000 worth of surgery this month. Are you interested? He goes, let's have the talk. So all right, so you find out. He's a business guy. If he's running his own business, they're not dumb. So don't be afraid to approach them. I just say, hey, I've got an innovative product that has been life-changing. Tell your story. My wife's story, for crying out loud. I'm here because of my wife's story. Because she screamed the other day from the bathroom. I thought she fell in the shower. What she was doing was holding her pants out and said, I haven't been in these pants in 30 years. But the deal was her AO1Cs are normal now. And her energy, she said, I feel like I'm 30. I'm keeping up with the grandkids, life-changing. So I tell my story and somebody else's, making it that simple. So getting into the office, what's going to make that happen? Now, I don't go in with Mr. Sell thing. I just say, hey, can you? And I was willing to pay for a couple doctors' office visits. Yeah. And when they said they didn't have time, I said, I paid for this time. I'm going to have you listen.
Wow. There you go. You're invested in yourself. And you can do that.
That's how you get past the gatekeeper.
Yeah. Dr. Stillman, another thing that you talk about is collagen, all right? And, you know, it's so important. It's like the biggest beauty topic right now out there, and there's so many collagen products. Everybody's got something special with collagen, as you know. Can you tell us so we know, and when we're talking to somebody, how much more powerful and the way it gets into your body through the X39 compared to anything else you've seen?
One of the things that's great about using light as medicine, which, you know, I want to make sure you all understand, this is how the patches work. It's light, and the light coming into the body, resonating at the right frequency, triggering the production of specific peptides that then do all of the work, right? So one of the amazing things about light that you have to remember is it works on the whole body, particularly through these patches, right? You can use light in localized areas, but these patches are really triggering these reactions throughout the body. What does that have to do with collagen? What I want you to understand about collagen is that collagen makes up a very high proportion of your structural proteins. So when women are particularly focused on collagen because they want their hair, their skin, their nails to look beautiful and lustrous and have that shine, right? When the collagen network breaks down, that's what they lose. And that's where you start to get the wrinkles. Inside, your organs become less and less robust, less and less basically put together. It's a little bit like this, the mortar between the bricks is starting to fall apart, and then the bricks are starting to crumble within that, right? Collagen is actually very protective of your body against cancers. When cancers are trying to get out of organs and into the bloodstream so they can spread, collagen is what keeps them in. So our collagen structure is one of the most important things that I focus on with my patients. And I focus on it, first of all, I start focusing on what's in their diet. But it doesn't matter what's in their diet if their gut wall doesn't have integrity, right? So what is Crohn's disease, as he mentioned in his example? It's a disease of the bowel where the bowel loses the capacity because it loses its integrity to absorb nutrition. This is part of why you're seeing such profound results. The body is better able to absorb nutrients. Then all over the body, within the tissues, it's already using the nutrients in a better way in order to have a more robust collagen structure. That's why you're hearing people talk about their hair, their skin, their nails, their eyes. That's why we've got a vascular surgeon up here who works on the vasculature, right? These things are collagen is what holds these things together. And if you don't have enough collagen, you basically fall apart, right? I don't have to tell you that you see people coming back together when they use these patches, and that's why.
Wow. Okay, and you get a lot more powerful, it's a more powerful therapy, you would say, than having it just consuming it is how normally the other ways of getting collagen is.
Well, taking collagen supplements is great. I recommend a lot of bone broth and collagen powders and peptides as supplements to my patients. But you have to, really, this is the next level of medicine, okay? It's more than just the matter that you put on or in your body. It's about the energy that you expose your body to, right? Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, right? That's part of what's so fascinated by me with light medicine when I got into it, was this idea that by putting the right frequencies into the body, I could radically alter what was going on within that body without me having to make a dietary change or without me having to tell them to take a supplement or a drug or whatever. And obviously, as you know, there's no side effects to this. I mean, as far as I'm aware. So, yeah.
So it's a whole new level of collagen, ladies. Think about that, right? You need to know that as you're talking to people. Okay, Dr. Priesson, let's turn a little bit different and talk a little bit about folks that are seeing it for the financial freedom and aspect of it. All right, you've got a successful practice for years. We talked to you a little bit. Gina talked to you when we were out in Arizona doing meetings. We had jam-packed meetings at other doctor friends of yours' houses. Tell them a little bit what you see from the short time you've been in compared to all the other things, you know, even being in the medical world, what the risk to reward as far as the investment that you've made so far to what you're making and where you see the potential. You see that you could possibly retire, replace your income and then some with this opportunity. And why would a doctor want to do that? I don't know. There are expenses and, you know, insurance things that they've got to have afterwards. Tell us a little bit about what you see.
Well, when you're talking to doctors, they're very, very busy. So you have very little time to get their attention. But sometimes doctors are looking. They're looking for an exit strategy. They're looking to diversify their income. They're looking for extra income to do other things. And so somehow you've got to find out a little bit about where they're at. And as you ask questions or just getting lucky talking to them about the X39 badge, you'll find them. They're there, and they're looking.
And you see, from what you've already seen income-wise, the short time you've been in, what the potential could be for you toward retirement, right?
Well, hopefully by this time next year, I'll have duplicated my income from medicine.
Duplicated his income from medicine. Did you hear that? Okay. Dr. Grover, you've been in 5 different multi-level marketing opportunities, okay? And your light, you're like just glimmering. I can see the light in your eyes. You're just on fire here. Tell them what you've seen, maybe what you've just experienced here that kind of proves, but what you were thinking when you started engaging and seeing what this LifeWave opportunity has compared to anything else you've seen. Maybe the exclusivity, whatever you want to share with us.
Well, first of all, I will tell you that as a primary care physician, we mainly went into medicine to help people and not really to make money. So, multi-level marketing didn't seem like the right thing to do. It was like a violation of our Hippocratic Oath. And so I've been in I've had good products through network marketing, but I never really promoted them. I was scared to, because what would they think of me if I started making money off of telling about a product like Protandim that could reverse their aging. So when I learned about the patches and I started using them, it's like what he said, my Hippocratic Oath is first not to do any harm. But if I'm not sharing this technology that is changing people's lives and giving them their lives back, that's doing harm.
Excellent. And we've got Dr. Tony. He's the highest rank in the company right now as a senior presidential director. Tell him what you see, because what you've experienced already in such a short period of time. Maybe even you could compare it. You don't have to talk about money, but compared to what you did in your practice and how long you're practicing compared to what you see in the potential to talk to a doctor why he might want to take this serious for a financial benefit.
Well, as a doctor, like you said, some are always looking to, some for an exit strategy, but also to create residual income, because in a doctor's office, when the lights are off and the doors are closed, you're not generating income. So a lot of us get very busy, and people are, Mr. Caruso was talking about you losing family time, and time is important, time is valuable. So if a way that I could create something that I don't have to spend all my time in the office or working, and I can still create the revenue and have, do the things that I would like to do and spend more time with my family, that's appealing to me. So unless I employ a big facility or franchise out, then you go talk about overhead and franchises and liabilities. This vehicle, you can franchise, you're basically franchising without the liabilities, without all the headaches and you can create duplication, and you can continue to, I can't have a practice necessarily in another state or another country, but I can create this business and duplicate in another country and multiple countries across the world by showing people, this technology and branching out. And so the opportunity is endless. And you know, whether you want to make a few dollars to make your car payment, or whether you want to make a few dollars to buy a car. I mean, there's people in this business that are making, they could buy a car every week, and some of them could buy a luxury car every week, right? So, I mean, without the income claims, but the whole thing is that the opportunity is there to help people. There's a lot of people talked earlier about financial stresses. You know, stresses create inflammation. Your body becomes very toxic, and so if we can help people in multiple ways, you know, take some of the stress off them and show them, you know, an opportunity. I like that to kind of diversify my income, to come out and help people and make a difference in their lives, reach out into the community and make a bigger difference. That's why I like this vehicle, but it is a viable opportunity because there's literally people in this company making, you know, as much or more than high-end orthopedic surgeons, trauma surgeons, and high-end, high-paid doctors, and they have minimal stress and liability. I mean, maybe putting an event on like this is a little stressful, but that's for a short period of time. And you know, and they're loving each other. You know, and a lot of doctors, because they spend so much time away from each other, their marriages suffer. You know, and I've seen that a lot in the different doctors. So you know, it's a thing. You're bringing people together. You're uplifting people. It's a whole another realm of this industry and how we can impact people's lives.
Dr. Davidson, being the skeptic that you were, what would you say to a doctor if they were being skeptical, anything that kind of would, from what you've been hearing all weekend, from what you've experienced, that could kind of light them up to take it serious?
You know, my biggest thing is number one, telling them like, hey, in 2020, this was, you know, it's already been proven that, you know, they had to prove to the U.S. Patent Attorney Office that it raises GHK copper peptide molecules in the bloodstream. That part's been done. So when people say, oh, like, how fast can I see results, or what can I tell my patients, or all that kind of stuff, it's like, you know, don't set expectations on the patch. You need to set expectations on the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years of people's lifestyles. You know, all of our cells kind of work in a community, or as a community, for harmony and frequency, and they all hold a certain charge, right? And it's our daily, you know, explaining this to them, like, hey, it's our daily lives, our habits, our thoughts, traumas, actions that cause those cells to lose that charge. So, you know, set expectations on lifestyles, don't set expectations on the patch, because that's already been proven.
Okay, Dr. Stillman, close this out. Anything we might have missed that we want to just highlight for sponsoring a doctor, for talking to a physician? One of them might be listening to this tape. Light them up and let them know what you're really seeing. Now, how do you like how he said light them up?
Nice. I see that. Pun intended, right? So the number one thing I want you all to know right now is that doctors are really hurting. They're really hurting. The system has never been uglier. It's never been more exploitative of their time. And doctors, I mean, I think the vast majority, I hope the vast majority, go into it because they want to help people. They have empathy. They care about others. And I don't think we've ever seen levels of burnout in the medical community the way we have now. Why is that important? If Renita were to ask me, Dr. Stillman, what could I have done differently that would have gotten you on the LifeWave train sooner, I would have said, ship a thing of patches to my mom for 2 to 3 months. And I want to explain why. I've been collecting testimonials from over 7,000 people on my email list for months now. And overwhelmingly, the really profound, really intense, really moving testimonials come from people ages 50 and up. Their activity declines with age. Now, Renita's busy. I don't want to make anyone think that I'm blaming her or faulting her, because she's super busy. She's the top enroller, if you don't know that. I think that's right, isn't it, Renita? Yeah, she's nodding over there. But I want you to know, if you don't have anything better to do, go to your doctor and say, how's your mom? How's your dad? How are they doing? You know, and if you can get them to open up, and they'll say, you know, I'm kind of worried about her. Her memory's not so great. I'm kind of worried about him. He's getting a little, you know, crazy in his old age. Say, listen, I have this product. It really helped so-and-so. It really helped such and such. Let me just, you know, give you a sleeve, and you just see what happens. Because you'll be the only person in that doctor's life, in a lot of cases, where you're the person reaching out to them, actually trying to help them. They're spending all this time and all this energy trying to help people, and everyone's coming to them, the nurse, the MA, the other doctors, the hospital administrator, the billing and coding technician, their wife, their kids, their husband, their cousins, their uncles. Hey, yeah, Leland, yeah, little Billy fell and skinned his knee, and I know I'm your cousin, but I'm just hoping we could basically get free medical advice, right? Because it's your Sunday afternoon, and what do you possibly have to do right now, right? So I want you all to think about that, because that's the single. Even if you don't get them onto the LifeWave, train, you're gonna really make that doctor's day. And I think that's easily the best way you could get more doctors to join your team. And like we've been talking about, that's a really big deal.
Hey, thank you, doctors, for sharing. We really appreciate you. Excited to have you on board, and we're looking forward to a lot more information from you. Can you give them all a hand?